Okay, folks in cyberspace, this is Focus on Liberia, and this is Debate Friday, and my name is Anson Nsie, hosting Debate Friday today. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you to Focus on Liberia on this Debate Friday. For Debate Friday, we have two outstanding guests. We have Mr. Leo Johnson, and we also have Mr. Anthony Kesselly. He is an eminent. Today we are discussing Preposition 1, which is an amendment to Article 28. That is the debate for today. And again, folks, it's Debate Friday. And I want to take this time one more time to welcome you to Focus on Liberia. Those of you who have joined us, please hit that share button as we go to our guests to welcome them to the show. Mr. Leo Johnson, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Leo Johnson, right there. And we also have as our guest, Mr. Anthony, or His Eminent Anthony Kesselly. Mr. Kesselly, His Eminent, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Well, thank you. Don't worry so much about the eminent. We are here to compare notes. Well, very happy to be here, my first time. And I hope we have a very productive exchange.
All right, thank you right there. And so again, it's Debate Friday, and we are debating the dual citizenship proposal, which amends Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution. For the debate, Leo Johnson is seated. His Eminent Anthony Kesselly is also seated. So folks, share the show, and we are getting started here. Gentlemen, before we go into the conversation here, let's start with you, Leo. Just a little bit about you in 1 minute. Who is Leo Johnson for those who don't know you?
My name is Leo Johnson. I am the executive director of an organization called Empowerment Squared. I'm also the president of the Liberian Association of Canada, which is the umbrella association of Liberians in Canada. I also sit on a number of boards, corporate boards, both within the city that I live on, with the city of Hamilton, and a bunch of different committees. I'm from Liberia and have had an extensive opportunity to work recently as a fellow of the United Nations in Geneva for the International Decade for People of African Descent.
Thank you, Leo Johnson there. And let's come to you, His Eminent. Who is His Eminent Anthony Kesselly? Just 1 minute, sir.
Okay, thank you. I'm happy to hear Brother Leo's voice. I was in Hamilton when I served as EULA National President. I was the guest of their organization there before. By mention of eminent, I am a former leader of EULA, former national chair of the board of directors, and former national president of EULA. Relative to what we are about to discuss, I have been involved in it since 2001, more actively, when I joined the EULA National Board. Currently, I'm in Liberia. I work as a policy specialist in the Office of the Vice President. I have served in various youth, student, and national political offices. For now, I think that should suffice. I'm very happy to be here.
All right, thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, our guests have introduced themselves, and we will go into the conversation. To get this debate all started, since the debate is on Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution, we will read Article 8 and read the proposed amendment. And we will also read to you all of the things that come with the amendment, especially on the restriction. And we will also read to you the fact that this proposal will have to be voted on in October of this year. And the options are yes and no. And so we will read also to you what no means and what yes also means. And then we will come back to our guests for their opening statement, and then the debate will get started officially. So stay tight as I read for you as stated. So this is the reading of Article 28 as it is now in our Constitution. Any person, at least one of whose parents was a citizen of Liberia at the time of the person's birth, shall be a citizen of Liberia, provided that any such person, upon reaching maturity, renounce any other citizenship acquired by virtue of the person being a citizen of another country, by virtue of one parent being a citizen of another country of the republic, shall be deprived of citizenship or nationality except as provided by law. And no person shall be denied the right to change citizenship or nationality. That is the reading of Article 28 as it is in our Constitution. Now, when amended, will read as any person, at least one of whose parent was a citizen of Liberia at the time of the person's birth, shall be a natural-born citizen of Liberia. A natural-born citizen's right to citizenship of Liberia is inherent and inalienable. No law shall be enacted or regulation promulgated which deprive a natural-born citizen of the republic of his or her citizenship right. And any law or regulation which alienates or deprives a natural-born citizen of his or her Liberian citizenship right is null and void. A natural-born citizen of Liberia may hold another additional citizenship but shall not qualify for elected national public service positions as the following appointed positions and the following appointed positions: Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court of Liberia, Cabinet Ministers and Deputy Ministers, heads of autonomous commissions, agencies, and non-academic research scientific institutions, ambassadors, extraordinary and plenipotentiary, and Chief of Staff and Deputy Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of Liberia. It continues, a citizen with dual citizenship shall have certain rights, including the right to hold elected national or public service positions and all appointed position if he relinquishes the other citizenship. The legislature shall enact laws on the process by which natural-born citizens of Liberia who have obtained additional citizenship will maintain all the rights pertaining to their Liberian citizenship. Now, I will read to you based on the amendment to Article 28 that I read earlier, what yes will mean and what no will mean. And that's the option citizens will have the right to vote on comes October. So a yes vote, voting yes for this proposition will mean, or reads, a yes vote on the measure means you have agreed that a person, at least one of whose parent was a citizen at the time of the person's birth, shall be a natural-born citizen of Liberia. It continues, such person does not have to reach the age of maturity to decide his or her citizenship. Also, you have agreed that a natural-born citizen of Liberia may hold another citizenship, but shall not qualify for elected national public service positions and the above listed appointed position. What no means? A note on this measure means the constitutional provision shall not change, but will remain in its current form. So folks in cyberspace, you just listening to the reading. That is the proposal to Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution, and many people are divided. And so to discuss this very important topic on Debate Friday, Leo Johnson is here. We will start with you, Leo, to give your opening position. Where do you stand?
Thank you very much. And I hope Liberians in cyberspace and friends of Liberia watching understand that. I'm very proud, man, that we can be at a place today that we can have these kind of discussions in the civic life of Liberia, because regardless of where you stand, I think we all have an interest in making sure our country moves forward. Regardless of our disagreement, in the end, we have a responsibility to work with whatever the outcomes are in the interest of our country. My position on this goes a little bit back to the history of where this even comes from. The reason we are dealing with this proposition today came from the result of former President Samuel Doe, out of his fear of Liberians in the diaspora coming back to Liberia at the time to either challenge him or whatever when he came to power, led to the adjustment in our constitution, many of which, not just this clause, many of the clauses which we are dealing with today that are problematic. But the second piece I will say to you is that what citizenship does not affect one's ability to do their job. And I will give you quite a few examples and a few supporting information to back that up. I live in Canada, for example. Canada has dual citizenship. In fact, I will tell you that 56 sitting parliamentarians in Canada are all dual citizens. 44 members of parliament are dual citizens. 12 senators in Canada are dual citizens, as I speak to you right now. Our Minister for Women and Gender right now is a dual citizen as well. We also have our former Governor General, who is the representative of the Queen. That's one of the highest positions you can hold in Canada. A dual citizen, both French and Canadian at the same time with both passports. The former leader of the National Liberal Party in Canada is a dual citizen. Now, Proposition 1, in my opinion, will not work for Liberia, given as it is in its current form, given the dynamics that we have experienced of our current situation. And what is that current situation? The civil war in Liberia has changed our country forever. I know many people still want to pretend we can go back to where Liberia used to be before the war. I want to give you the news today. Unfortunately, no. We are going to have to figure out how we can chart a new course going forward. And I can tell you that new course will not exclude Liberians in the diaspora. I think Liberians in the diaspora, dual citizenship is inevitable. Currently, most Liberians that have worked in our governments up to this point have all been dual citizens anyway. And clearly, we haven't seen them destroy the country. Our inability to enforce our laws on the books right now is what's giving us problem, and not because people with dual citizens are serving our country. So in my opinion, the country, Italy, Israel, these are all countries that have dual citizenship with no restrictions on their citizens. They can run for political office. They can be appointed. They can be elected to any office. So I stand to hold the ground that by best practice, I argue that Proposition 1 in its current form is not in the interest of Liberia, where a huge vested interest of our country lies in the Liberian diaspora to compensate or to consolidate the efforts of our brothers and sisters back home in terms of charting a new course for Liberia.
Thank you. Leo there giving his opening statement. He seems not to be happy with the law as it is. Let's come to you, His Eminence. What is good about this law for which you support it?
Well, thank you very much. Let me hasten to join my brother to agree that yes, indeed, the current proposition, which is the subject of our discussion tonight, doesn't satisfy all of our desires. From the get-go, we acknowledge that. For some of us who have argued in favor of dual citizenship, pretty much all of the things he said about the need for dual citizenship are basically a re-echoing of what we have been saying over the past decades. We are staunch supporters of dual citizenship, and we think it is positive for the country, Liberia. We cannot see how all of the countries surrounding us, I call them our younger sisters, we are older than them, some multiple times, can embrace this phenomenon, but then we remain in panic that if it comes, something wrong will happen to us. I don't know what they have that we lack. But what we are about to make, if we are not cautious, particularly those of us who have fought for dual citizenship over the years, is that we will begin to see the light at the end of the tunnel And instead of embracing it, nurturing it, we extinguish the light. We have Liberians divided in two major groups. Anti-dual citizenship, they don't want dual citizenship. And in that, you have a huge combination of people. Some out of fear, some just don't understand what it is. You talk about dual citizenship in many of the areas I have gone and debated. The first thing, so you want me Lebanese man, citizen. I mean, it's confused all over the place. So inadequacy, fear, some of them not understanding it, they feel they are doing a patriotic job by opposing it. Then you have the other group, our group, we want dual citizenship. But the problem we have before us now is this Proposition 1. It will seem this is a battle now raging among those of us who in the first place support dual citizenship. And that's why I hope our discussion here today will bring us closer together. I feel Proposition 1 is one leap forward. I feel without Proposition 1, we have nothing. And there, as we discussed, we'll come to that. There are some people who are under the illusion that it is Proposition 1 that is bringing denial of Liberians, that is taking away the right of Liberians. I say no. That's what it is currently. Proposition 1 gives us a step forward. Now, you look at the United States, over 200 years old. Constitutions evolve over many decades, over many schools. People come and make changes. But we are assuming that once Proposition 1 comes, it will be the end of the world for us. There will be no more possibility for further improvement or further change. But here we are talking about 1973 Alien Nationality Law, as it was. We are talking about 1847 Constitution. Where is that today? Has been changed to the 1986 Constitution. So this is a process of evolution. What we see is that Proposition 1 will give us this giant leap forward to firstly break that barrier, the barrier about this huge anti-dual citizenship position. It will embrace the concept of dual citizenship.
All right.
Now, we come to talk about rights and other things that we are coming to. I want to sum this up by saying, yes, this is not the bill or the proposition with that kind of tons of restriction that we desired. But it is what we have today. And the possibility remains for it to be further worked upon. So yes, I think we can take this leap forward and tighten our belts for further fight in the years to come.
Thank you. And Leo, your rebuttal.
Yeah, I will start first of all, but I just forgot to do that. Let me acknowledge EULA's effort on this particular piece. I think if there's nothing EULA has done, we can all admit that EULA has done exceptionally well in when it comes to the dual citizenship debate. And my big brother, eminent Weti, from Anthony Kesselly, all of the people involved in this have done incredible. And like you said, dual citizenship is not the argument. The argument is Proposition 1. So let me just say this first of all. I come from a different generation in Liberia. And we've watched previous generations use this excuse for their own selfish political purposes of kicking the can down the road. And kicking that can down the road have damaged some of our future today. Kicking that can down the road have left some of us holding things today that we had no part to play in because the previous generation thought it was just okay to kick it down the road, that at some point we'll get to it. Now, I will understand pushing something down the road when there is no logical or reasonable argument for doing it immediately. I can understand that. But to tell me that we're only kicking it down the road because we are afraid that the politicians that are in power today Most of them of the old generation are the ones only doing it because of their own personal fear. So we should reinforce that fear by giving them what they want and just bargaining for whatever we get. I find that problematic. Number one, we're talking about the Constitution. We all know how long it takes to touch the Constitution to talk about changing something inside. And we all know how much debates, how many decades of debate it has taken for us to get to this point. And I can assure you, the Constitution is not something that easily gets changed or amended. So if we have, maybe in my lifetime, a one-time chance in my lifetime for us to be able to do something about the Constitution, let's get it right. Let's not, especially if we are agreeing that these restrictions are not restrictions that we desire, then let's try to get it right. Let's make the vigorous argument. Let's keep fighting so that we can get more voices, because politics is public opinion. Our members in the House of Representatives and the Senate are listening. I think if we start to realize that we can push them hard, let's push them hard. I'm not prepared to jeopardize my future and the future of my children in Liberia on anything, not just on dual citizenship, simply because the current generation wants to kick it down the road because they don't want to deal with the difficult questions. They want to leave it for a different generation to come and deal with it. I think it's unfair, and this is what has happened in Liberia from 1847. That's why some of us today, our future has been destroyed as young people in Liberia. Let's not continue to promote this attitude. Let's allow people to be accountable. Let them stand up and tell us where they stand on this issue, rather than giving a frame up one that can help them escape the real questions that we should be facing. To him who much is given, much is required. If much is required of diaspora Liberians, as some of us have always argued, that diaspora Liberians have a bigger role to play and a greater responsibility. To him who much is given, then much is required. Or to him who much is required, then much should also be given.
Thank you. His Eminent, your
rebuttal.
Yes,
thank you. Yes, I see the generational denunciation, but we can do that as much as we want. Constitutional processes evolve. Slavery was as bad as it could be. The laws, slaves did not just assemble one day and say, we do it today or we die. We will not agree for it to be kicked down the road. We have been in this battle for years. When people argue about it being a stopping point, because that's what it is right now, we must stop here, we cannot push it further down the road, we either do it now or this and that. I think that is a little bit idealistic, because, and this tendency also to put all the blame on the few people who sit at the Capitol as legislators is very, very flawed, I will advise. For those of us who have gone the length and breadth of Liberia and talk about dual citizenship, you know, when you put just the blame on the legislators, you are underestimating the strength of the opposition to dual citizenship and making it as if to say it is only at the Capitol building. That is a sad oversight. The depth of opposition to dual citizenship is very strong. We participated in many forums. Even at the highest levels of our people who are educated don't even understand it. A good number of people do it out of fear, out of fright, out of the feeling of inadequacy, out of the feeling that there will be an imbalance. So I don't see it as just the few people at the Capitol, they don't want to do this, they don't, no. It is profound, it is deep. So maybe we could have said some years ago, the dual citizenship debate didn't just start now, it's been going on. We have proposed amendments before, the days of Sumo Kupi, the days of Joel Howard Taylor as senator, the days of Cletus Watterson, when we work with them, and so far. It is a process. I don't know if you say, I want to jeopardize my future, it simply means once proposition one is passed, you know, because you got to do law for it to endure, for it to be there, perpetuity. That's why it seeks. It may not get it, it will be changed. But you look at it for it to endure some time. But if you are doing it because you want to do it within your lifetime, many people started their dual citizenship battle they are not living today. It's a process. And I have hardly seen those many countries around us who have embraced dual citizenship without restrictions. Yes, I do agree. We can make improvements. You know, I gave a parable in one of our debates. You are outside in the rain, in the storm. You're fighting to come in the house. You say, this house is for all of us. You struggle for years, decades. You are out. Then all of a sudden, by some measure, you manage to get in the smaller room up front. Then your associates say, no, we are better outside. We got to go and be in the ring. We will not be here and continue the fight. We will get outside and be in the ring until we come and get the master bedroom. We are not going to enter even the put. I don't think that is strategy. And I'm saying this because I really want us who have embraced dual citizenship, who have campaigned, lobbied for it over the years, to understand that we are about to slip. Now, from now till October, you can have no other proposition. Let's get that. There are timelines. No other, you can't even revise this proposition. So I don't know what we can do between now and after October referendum, you don't know when the next referendum. That's not a guarantee to anyone. You don't just call a referendum. There are many factors involved. So it's not about us kicking a can down the road. Far from that. It is about grabbing, in strategy, say, let me get the low-hanging fruits. Then you go for the ones that are further. But I think the strategy has been turned upside down. It's now that position where either or. And I don't see that as a strategy.
Thank you. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia, and it's Debate Friday. Leo Johnson is here, Mr. Kesselly is here, and we're debating Proposition 1. Leo, you just listened to Mr. Kesselly. Any question for him?
I just wanted to clarify a few things
Okay.
that I maybe came across incorrectly. Number one, I did not blame legislators at the Capitol building. No, I'm very aware of how government works. So I will not even do that. I think it's unfair for us to sit down and say because it's the senators. I mentioned them in the sense of holding people accountable. In my opinion, this is not a time to shift blame on anyone for that matter. This is time to look for people who are willing to take leadership stands. When I said I don't blame the legislator, I don't blame them exclusively. This is a bigger conversation that encompasses, a lot of other people, the country as a whole. Whether it's opposition, political leaders, our legislators, our judiciary, it encompasses almost everybody and not just them. But I'm asking for us to hold people accountable. Secondly, when I talk about jeopardizing my future, I'm not just talking about my future as a person. I'm talking about the future of children to come. You know how many generations now we've been? Some of the situations that we've been put in, that we've gone from generation to generation. And let me just say this, our situation is different. I think people sometimes forget about the uniqueness of the Liberian situation when we talk about the issue of dual citizenship. I can tell you it's inevitable. I'll tell you why. It's being done illegally right now. And we have no way of enforcing our constitution. We failed miserably for decades to enforce our constitution. We've had people with dual citizenship holding some of the highest positions in our office, in our country. We are aware of that. And there's nothing, it's the thing that we all just turn a blind eye to. Number two, we're not even able to enforce our current citizenship as it is. So for me, when it comes to dual citizenship, if we look, anything that's not done right is not done at all. The old saying still holds. If we're going to have dual citizenship and we are rushing on a time crunch to say, oh, October is coming, we'll not be able to get another a clause in or another proposition in. So let's just take what we're giving. Some of us have come here in other countries. Some of us have learned what excellence is. Some of us have also learned that there are times where you make compromises because there are logical reasons to it. For me, I still don't get the logical reason why When Proposition 1 was being drafted, when we had the time and the opportunity to debate it, we did not stand up to say, no, this proposition should be reconsidered. We were okay. People allowed it to pass. And then now people want us to say, oh, let's just accept it for now. That's what it is for now. And then we can make more. We can fight for more. And let me just say something, because we talk about evolution of constitutions or evolution. My big brother mentioned the issue of slavery and how people did not say they were kicking it down the road. Yes, people did not kick it down the road because at the time, they could only use the solutions and the prevailing circumstances to them. I refuse to accept that in Liberia, we have no other choice but to accept Proposition 1. That is the argument I refuse. How long have we lived in a situation? I can be honest with you. If we have to fight for another decade to get it done right, I'd rather fight for another decade than just get something in the meantime while we wait to fight for it down the road. That's what a real fight is. And I think my generation is a different generation, and we see it differently. And I respectfully disagree that I think Proposition 1 in its current form is robbing Liberians in the diaspora, at the same time putting a lot more on their shoulders in terms of what they should be contributing to their country.
And there we want a question from you to Mr. Kesselly.
So, Mr. Kesselly, I'll ask you.
He has laid down a lot of other premises that I wanted to also clarify, but I'll wait.
Yeah, so maybe you can clarify it once you get on that as well. My question to you is, why not look at the examples of other countries, and I can use some of our fellow African countries as well, that allow dual citizenship without restrictions? Why are we not using those other examples as well? Why are we only using the examples of countries that have restrictions on dual citizenship, and at the same time we're not arguing equally on the other countries that are faring very well, who do not have restrictions on dual citizenship and have actually thrived?
Let me begin with your question that you made. You talk about the uniqueness of Liberia. And so I didn't expect you to say, why are we not asking the question about other countries?
You use other countries, that's why I mentioned it.
One second now. If Liberia is unique, I mean, so it got to be unique in all the aspects. But besides that, it's not about Anthony Kesselly using other countries. As a matter of fact, you know, as we proceed, I begin to wonder when you got on this platform on the question of the fight for dual citizenship, because to say why you didn't call this, we have gone in debates and argued against even restrictions over the years. We have gone into debates to tell people that the fear of, you know, a Liberian who lost his citizenship or whatever means, coming back, the fears were unfounded. So it's really not about me. And further, if you are kind of brave to say, when they were debating it, we did not stand up. Well, my brother, maybe you were absent, but we stood up. In fact, the bill we proposed, this is not it. This is not what we are discussing. But again, you are not the senators. Even if you are a senator, you are just one senator. How you win some senators, in fact, to make this one step with this one that we have was work. So I'm shocked if you say, the time we're making the point, they did not stand up and this, and well, we were there in the chambers. We were there on the University of Liberia campus, having hearings, public hearings. I mean, pretty much financing public hearing on an issue. For example, Anthony Kesselly doesn't hold citizenship of any other country. I have never taken on the citizenship of any other country. I have a green card in the United States. So I'm in it because of the benefits I see that other areas are accruing. So, you know, it's so simple to come and dismiss everything other people have been doing before, like nothing has happened. And then this proposition just fell from the sky. Nobody spoke against it. It just dropped, and then we all accepted it. No, we are not arguing here that this is our best option. But we are being rational because of the trenches we fought in. We are being realistic because of the things we've heard our people say. To first embrace dual citizenship, to me, is a big deal. You look at it technically, my brother. The other argument is purely government job. Purely. The restriction we're talking about is purely about government job. Otherwise, the proposition now allows you to hold your other citizenship while you hold Liberian citizenship. You can own real estate property. You don't need a visa to come to Liberia. You can do your business. You don't need a resident permit. While at the same time, you hold the other citizenship in whatever other country, while you are enjoying those benefits in that country. The only question here is because they say you can now hold elective office and this position. That's the remaining question that we're talking about. Mortgaging our future, we are jeopardizing our future. It's all about government job. Now, that's the issue that's outstanding, the restrictions. So we have fought. We have fought. People should not emerge here today and act like nothing has been happening. And the only thing that happened that's devastating this country is Proposition 1. No, it's the outcome of struggle. For people, if you were in the Constitution Review Committee conference in Banga and see the votes against dual citizenship, well, except you say, look, we will impose on our people. But to me, it has to be gradual. We have to be reasonable. And we have to be careful not to sound to our people as if to say we are being arrogant about it. Because some people say, oh, this, look, you hold another citizenship with all the benefits appertaining thereto. The other people over there who have their fears, they are human beings, whether we agree with them or not, but they are citizens just like we are. They have their fears. So we have to walk a fine line in the achievement of this, where we want to go. But to hold the brakes now and say, until we jump into where we want to go, we are not going to take the next step, I think it's suicidal.
Mr. Kesselly, Leo is asking why in your advocacy for this Proposition 1, or some people say dual citizenship, you are not using examples of other countries who
I
don't
did
have
answer that. Maybe I did answer that.
Okay, thank you.
I said
the uniqueness of Liberia thing.
I said that. I said we use that all over. This is the outcome.
Okay.
So can I?
We talk about the restriction. We talk about, look, Sierra Leone here. What, in fact, I started when I told you, what do we have in us that makes us incapable of embracing dual citizenship when countries that we are older than? I think you heard me say that.
Okay.
Yeah, so let
These
me
were the arguments we made all over the place.
All right. Then your question for Leo.
So
Leo, hold on. He needs to ask you a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so what question do you have for Leo?
You know, the question I have had for people who have argued like this is, well, he said something like that, and it got me not to want to waste our time on that. The question is, we don't want this. What is his roadmap? Let's say in the next 5 years, but he's saying for eternity, it can happen rather than choose what is there now, we can go on. He already partially answered that. But the question I asked people, what's the roadmap? Should we just leave it? If we can get what you are saying, dual citizenship, unlimited freedom, without restrictions, do we just leave it as such until the kingdom come, whenever it comes along? Is that your strategy?
Thank you. Thank you very much. So first of all, I will start by saying, I don't think you already answered, because my question was not what example you use. My question was, why have there been a dominant use of only countries that have restrictions? And I've never heard in
but you have heard that dominant. You didn't hear the other one, perhaps, when we have been arguing.
Oh,
In fact, the
I have been
dominant
following-
argument we have made is
Akami.
countries. The dominant argument we have made, my brother, is countries that have dual citizenship and they are benefiting.
I said without restrictions. That was my
But that's not the dominant of countries on earth.
Oh,
Even the region, the dominant countries are countries with restrictions. So how can you use the minority of questions?
I can send you an information. I can actually counter that, but that's actually for
no. Let's not sidestep. So let me get what you're sending to me. You're sending to me that the predominance
the number of countries that allow dual citizenship without restriction in the world. You say in the world. You didn't say in Africa.
It's more than.
I will send you the map that I literally pulled up recently. I will send it to you so you can actually look at it.
I might already have
from Italy to Canada to I will actually send it
Go
to
ahead with your
Israel
point.
to even the United States. But let me just say this directly to your question. Your question was for eternity. And what is my roadmap to get into that point? Here is my roadmap. We have this I think attitude that we pretend. First of all, let me say this: the attitude that we pretend like the problem in Liberia is about one thing. Oh, when we get Proposition 1, then we are on our roadmap to. The problem in Liberia is much bigger. And one thing we've done well in our country is we've always selectively chosen which ones to do and ignore the other ones when they are all innately intertwined. One of the problems we have in Liberia is the lack of any governance. You can pass any citizenship law you want. If we have a corrupt system of governance, an incompetent system of governance, it's still going to fall flat like we are seeing now with us not even being able to understand, make any sense of our own citizenship as it is. It's free for all right now. Anybody can get a Liberian passport very easily. Nigerians.
I think that's beside the point.
Can I just make, I would rather want to actually land because I think they are connected. The reason we are having the problems we are having, even with the Proposition 1 and the dual citizenship argument, has been the lack of if there was proper governance in our country, our people will know what's keeping our country alive. Our people will know what are the participations that are needed. Our people will know how brain drained our country has become. But our system has become so corrupt that if you just say by passing Proposition 1 means we will get to a dual citizenship faster, I beg to differ. So I will also say to my big brother, Mr. Kesselly, that you cannot expect other people to take your position seriously when all you do is to dismiss them. When you talk about this is purely about government jobs. I would argue with you on that some of us have never, ever, people in the diaspora, I know a lot of people in the diaspora who have dual citizenship. In fact, they will produce, if they are given to, will produce more jobs than government jobs. So I think it's a bit disrespectful for you to say everybody who's making the argument about Proposition 1 is purely about government job in your own words. Number 2, I would say this to everybody. The debate is not about dual citizenship. The debate is about Proposition 1. So the same roadmap that Eula, who fought so hard to get us to where we are, and I think we've made a lot of progress on this argument, the level of education that has happened. I want to give you guys kudos for that, including you, Big Brother Kesselly, all of you that were in the trenches. Yes. I want to give you guys kudos. But the debate is not about dual citizenship. The debate is about Proposition 1 and what should we accept versus what we shouldn't accept. And what is the logical argument? For me, that argument is not strong to me to say, oh yeah, let's just accept what, because if we don't do it now, we may not get dual citizenship anytime soon. I disagree. It's possible that the same place that we've come, we can fight to get dual citizenship, even without Proposition 1 passing. So let's assume if Proposition 1 is put on the referendum ballot and it is defeated. That is a possibility. So are you telling me that if Proposition 1 is defeated on the referendum ballot, that means this fight is lost? I prefer.
All right.
Done?
Thank you, Dad. Mr. Kesselly, hold on a moment. Again, folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Cyr hosting, and it's Debate Friday. And as you can see, the two panelists are debating the issue. Gentlemen, it's my turn now to ask you a question. Very, very interesting debate.
He made an allegation. Can I?
All right, go ahead and make your clarification, and then I'll come in.
I think we should stay away from making things sentimental. That I insulted people because I said it was about government job.
No,
if you don't, 1 second.
I didn't say it was an insult. I didn't use the word insult. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Our demeaning, whatever it is, it was not a pleasant thing that he thought I said. So I don't want to argue over the wordings. Put all sentiments aside. The only thing that people are arguing whether I don't need government job. So many people don't need government job. That's not the issue. But what remains in Proposition 1 is the issue of restrictions of those government jobs. Whether someone takes it left or takes it right, that is the fact. The only thing that is wrong with it is those restrictions about jobs that cannot be here, and all of them are government jobs. That's the fact, and we should say it.
You're talking about research and scientific institutions, and you're talking about government jobs. Those are not usually government jobs. I challenge you on that.
The government can stop you only in things that they subsidize. They subsidize.
That's not what it's actually written here.
The government will not tell you don't go open your business. It didn't say that.
That's a existing research institutions and scientific institutions.
All right, gentlemen, just leave it there for now. Gentlemen, please just leave it there for now. I'm enjoying the debate. Again, folks, in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia, and it's Debate Friday. Anson Nsie hosting. Gentlemen, I have a question for you. It's my time to ask you some questions. My first question, and I'm starting with you, Mr. Kesselly, is Liberia or birthright citizenship country?
Well, you can say anyway. What is your meaning of birthright citizenship? Let me see your point.
Meaning that if a child is born today in Liberia to Liberian parents, or one parent having to be a Liberian, that child remains a Liberian. So that is my question. Is Liberia or birthright citizenship country?
Yeah, until I really see the fact of the matter is you have to meet some qualifications. Even if you are born here and one of your parents is not. But if both of your parents are, yes, that's why you are natural born Liberian. But if one of them is not, then there's a criteria that you have to meet. That's it. So whatever the birthright country, I mean, I don't know the essence of it, but yes, if you are born here to Liberian parents and everything, yes, naturally you are, your right to citizenship is unquestionable.
All right, we are talking about Liberia. I know for the United States, once you are born here, whether one of your parents having to be an American, you are an American. That is a birthright citizenship right there. Do we have that in Liberia, or is it conditional? We don't have that.
We don't have it exactly as it is. We have a little, tweak on it.
And then my next question is that, will this Proposition 1 bring about that? Will Proposition 1, if passed, make Liberia a birthright citizenship country?
Yes. No, your parent, whether any of your parent is this and that, you don't have to. Once you were born here, the proposition, you read it, it makes you a citizen. Then we'll go to the issue of if you continue later and hold onto another citizenship, then it takes away certain rights from you.
All right, my next question to you is, the way Article 28 is right now, there is no such thing as natural born Liberian?
What's your definition of natural born Liberian? These terms we if you were born here, you are natural born Liberian to Liberian parents.
Let me say this to Mr. Kesselly. The proposition as it is written that you support,
yes,
brings about the word natural.
Yes,
and that is the strong word that you have in this particular proposition.
Yes.
So I'm asking you, are you trying to suggest to me that you do not know the meaning of the word natural born that is used in your proposal that you're supporting, and you are asking me for my definition? I'm using your definition. So what is natural born Liberian?
Sometimes I see the word natural as superfluous because people are born naturally anyway. I don't know what other assignment you've given to the word natural. I'm a Liberian. My parents are Liberian. I was naturally born in Liberia. So you are naturally born a Liberian, but if you do certain things, your Liberian citizenship, according to our laws, not according to Anthony Kesselly, is taken away or is impacted one way or the other.
So my final question to you before I get to Leo, hold on. My final question to you before I get to Leo. The way the law is,
which law?
It says that the Article 28, to be specific.
Okay.
Yeah, understand that, the whole conversation is on Article 28 for the most part.
Yeah,
so the way the law is, it says
the proposal and the existing.
I know, but we are discussing Article 28.
Okay.
All right. The way the law is, it says that when you are born,
yeah,
you remain a Liberian. One of your colleagues here said that once you are born, you remain a Liberian until that child reaches the maturity stage.
If one of your parents,
it's one of your parents is a Liberian. Once you are born to a Liberian parent, meaning one parent, you remain a Liberian. But when that child reaches maturity, I don't know, maturity, we can put it at 18, that person automatically ceases to be a Liberian until they can decide they want to be a Liberian. Do you agree with that interpretation?
Yeah, it says if you do not appear to make your proclamation, then you are conceived as having taken the other, because you are supposed to take an action. If you don't take that action, then you are not considered. So it's placed upon the shoulder of that child who now becomes an adult to do that act. If they don't do that act, the Liberian law looks at you as having chosen the other one.
Leo, you following my question in red there? Let me come to you.
But that's the fact.
I understand.
Liberia is a birthright or citizenship country. I'm not saying that there are any conditions or so there are, but the question was direct.
Yes,
it is.
Then why you say that?
I actually said that because that's what the Constitution said, with conditions. I agree that there are conditions on it.
Okay.
But the question that you asked, no, I agree with you, Brother Kesselly, on that. I'm not disagreeing on that point. But the question that Anthony asked was, is Liberia, every country that is a birthright citizenship country has conditions on it. There is no country that has birthright citizenship that just say whatever, as long as you're actually born there. So,
you are right.
Every country that is a birthright citizenship country also has certain conditions that you still have to meet, even if your birthright, it has a birthright citizenship law that actually allows you to get citizenship.
Thank you.
My direct answer to that question is yes. And we can debate the conditions as to whether they are fair or okay or not okay.
Exactly.
All right. And then let me come to you, Leo. I know it's not that you don't want to see any proposal that gives Liberian dual citizenship. That's not your thing. Your thing is that this one, as it is limited. Correct. And as a Liberian, you should not be limited to anything in as much as the word citizenship is being subscribed to your name. To put any restriction on there where you disagree. And so my question to you, since we have that understanding, is how do you think we can get this citizenship without any restriction?
Now, let me be clear to not, because when you say any restriction, it's a very vague term to say any restriction. Every citizenship law in the world, even born Liberians in Liberia, have conditions for their citizenship.
Okay, how?
You can have problems with your citizenship, even if you are born in Liberia and have never taken a citizenship of another country. So what I'm talking about, to be very specific, are the restrictions within Preposition 1.
Okay.
So let me be clear. My argument is restricted tonight to Preposition 1, because there are many other restrictions on even countries that allow dual citizen without the restrictions that are in Preposition 1. I have other restrictions to them. And let me tell you why I have a problem with this. When I begin my argument, I talk about the current status and situation in our country as it is. Our country has been on a divisive path for a very long time. And this Preposition 1 has also emerged from the dual citizenship debate as being another very divisive argument. Even the dual citizenship debate itself became a very divisive argument, primarily because in Liberia, everything is politicized. There is nothing you can say in Liberia that people will not take and politicize. So by going with Proposition 1 and these particular restrictions that are in here, in my opinion, is about people's rights. It's not about jobs. The things that are in here are some rights that are accorded to citizenship as stipulated. So it's not about the fact that you have the right to go get it does not mean they will appoint you to a government job. If there are processes in place and qualifications that you must meet, you must still meet those qualifications. It's not like because now you're a dual citizen or you came from America or Europe or wherever you came from, it means you automatically qualify to get a job. And that's why I'm shocked that people are making it like because you come from abroad with dual citizenship. So that means even in the employment, in the job description, sometimes people put conditions on, even right now in the government, there are certain jobs that have certain conditions that being a Liberian citizen does not automatically mean you can get it because you do not qualify. So
Leo,
I would tell you that is my argument on it.
Leo,
Yeah.
do you believe, I come in, Mr. Kesselly, Leo, do you believe the proposition as it is and being advocated for is discriminatory as other term it? Do you believe it's discriminatory?
I will not go as far as saying is discriminatory, because if you say something is discriminatory, the definition of actual discrimination is a much stronger term in this
So
case.
where you say it's not a fair law?
It's not a fair law. That is my argument. I wouldn't use the term discriminatory. No, I would.
So name me one thing that is not fair about it.
I would name you one thing that is not fair about it. When the framers of our Constitution drafted our Constitution, nobody in their wildest imagination could have imagined that we would have been at a state where we are right now, where we would have fought war for close to 2 decades on different instances, and Liberians would have been scattered around the world, many subjected to take on citizenship without any choice because they were stateless and could not function in some of these countries. Nobody in the framing of our Constitution could have imagined that. At some point, our Constitution, there are many clauses in our Constitution that is unenforceable. It's not possible to enforce. I care less who you are, and people like to blame governments. It's impossible to enforce because the prevailing circumstances that have emerged has made it impossible. Number 2, littered in our history has been littered with dual citizens from heads of states, from straight to the presidency down to even most recent.
Name me some of those precedents.
People who hold dual. Madam Ellen Johnson Sirleaf is a German. She holds a German citizenship. She has the right. According to German laws, Madam Sirleaf has a German lineage according to the laws, according to actual German laws. Number 2, 4 of our presidents of the Republic of Liberia were from Barbados, from the Caribbean. They were Caribbeans. They were holding Barbadian citizenship and became presidents of Liberia. I will give you from Ellen Cockrum in Liberia. So I can name you a lot of government officials, senior government officials. And this is not a criticism because some of them that were appointed served well. Some of them did well, some of them performed horribly. So when I say it's not a fair law, because for you to come now and start to target that very train of people that has a long lineage in our history of diaspora Liberians holding dual citizenship or holding other countries' citizenship and serving the country, for you to bring that now to target those people, I think is unfair because our history is innate and littered with it.
Leo, hold on that, Mr. Kesselly, I'll soon come to you. Leo, how is it fair? Unfair when in the very proposal there is an opportunity for those who acquire another citizenship when they decide to, or when their law is passed and they get the Liberian citizenship, and if they want, for example, an elected position, they can renounce their other citizenship, obtain Liberian citizenship, and then they can run for any of those offices. So there is room for you who have another citizenship, who cannot be chief justice, who cannot be president, for you to renounce that citizenship of that other country and run. So how is it not fair?
So let me tell you this on that. In fact, that's where I get even antsy about the if Liberians, let me ask you today, the prevailing situation in Liberia that we are now facing, if you can get 50 Liberians today to get to the opportunity that some Liberians who got in the diaspora have, the first thing they would do would be to jump to another citizenship if possible. And there are many who will not have not held other citizenship. But to your question about how is it not fair that people can denounce the other citizenship and then maintain their Liberian citizenship and run or get any of the other offices. That is not the qualification for a job. The qualification of a job is not about how much citizenship you hold. The qualification of a job is your competence and lineage to a country to execute, in my opinion. And I don't want to limit it to about jobs, but because you're asking the question, I will address it. And I will tell you today, whether someone is a dual citizen of Liberia or not, if our governments and governance systems were doing their jobs to have the right competences in place and requirements for why people get a job, 90% of the problem we face in Liberia is incompetence. It's not about who holds what citizenship. So I will not go temper with something that has no direct correlation, in my opinion, to our problem in Liberia. The issue of dual citizenship has no direct correlation to our problems in Liberia as it stands, in my opinion, right now that we are talking about. So I will not go temper with it. I will rather focus on things that are directly correlated to why we find ourselves in the situation that is continuing to persist regardless of who becomes president or not.
Thank you. Let me come to you, Mr. Kesselly. Again, folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia. I'm Anthony here hosting. It's Debate Friday, and we are debating Proposition 1, which amends Article 28 of the Liberian Constitution. Coming to you, Mr. Kesselly. Those of you who are supporting this proposition gave national security as a reason for the restriction therein. My question is, what national security threat are you talking about when in fact we know of leaders who even serve as president and maintain citizenship of another country, and there has not been any national security threat to Liberia?
You know, I wanted to buttress a few points.
Yeah, you can do that.
Brother
Leo
made, you know, he was talking about Liberians, Liberia having had presidents from different countries and et cetera, et cetera. Right. You know, one time we were debating the issue. I think it was in the University of Liberia auditorium.
Right.
And I said, well, people talk about Liberia was founded on Christian principles. I said, okay, how many agree also that Liberia was founded on dual citizenship principles? Liberia was founded on dual citizenship principles, and it has confounded me to see that this is the country that we are arguing so much against dual citizenship. And for the meat of the argument against dual citizenship to have emerged in 1973 under the True Weak Party administration, and you can tell for yourself the type of people that were in the legislature at the time who were powerful to have formulated such anti-dual citizenship law. I can't imagine. So yes, I mean, Liberia should not be a place where we should even be discussing dual citizenship or not. And I don't think that's what this debate tonight is about. This debate tonight is about this proposition we have as a matter of strategy. How do we move forward? Whether we get stuck there, we reject it and we don't want it because it doesn't meet our expectation, or we say, okay, look, let's cross one bridge. Let's get the question of you having your American passport. I'm only using America because we are used to using America, but it can be any passport. You have your American passport and you have a Liberian passport. You can walk Broad Street. You can go anywhere and you are not hiding as we are doing now. A lot of people come with this argument and I don't flow with it. Oh, Helen Johnson said he's an American citizen. Joe, we are American. Look.
I said German, not American.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
Leo, I'm not, this is not in reference to what you just
said. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
This is something that is all over the place on the internet. In fact, the legislature over there, so people are, my brother, we are in the era of don't ask, don't tell. I know people whose swearing in ceremony as American citizens I attended, and they are in Liberia and they hold any kind of office, including being legislators. But this is don't ask, don't tell. You gotta go prove it.
And how do you prove it?
That's where it is. In fact, the new Supreme Court ruling has made it even more worse, difficult to to prove it, than before. So yes, Liberia was founded on that, how do you call it, dual citizenship principles. I can tell you for sure. And we should not make the debate as if to say, because your question comes in that line, that we are the one propounding the restrictions. Left with me, I feel a lot of the positions included in that listing are unnecessary, are unwarranted. There's no threat. In fact, Leo will agree with me that it has made it in the way that a naturalized Nigerian or Ghanaian, Sierra Leonean will now have more rights than you, natural-born Liberian, who holds dual citizenship. That's how I analyze it. That's how bad I feel this law is against us, the natural-born Liberians, because most of those positions can be held by naturalized other people. You know that?
Yeah, other Negroes.
Yep.
Most of the positions put in that restriction are things that naturalized Nigerian or so can hold. But because, Nigerian, they have their citizenship, they don't lose it, they take on other citizens. So they can become citizens in Liberia and benefit from a lot of those positions. They can contest in the election. A bona fide, naturalized Guinean who is now a Liberian can run. Now, you are telling Liberian, you can run because you took on Canadian citizenship.
Right.
So I realized that it is not what we wanted. But we have to put our strategic thinking cap on and not say, well, because it is in our eye that bad, we will not take the essential step of one, listen, dual citizenship now, the national business, nobody had me. I'm an American. I get my land, I build in my house. I'm not afraid of anything. The campaign does not end there. We can continue. It's an incremental thing. This is what we are preaching.
Mr. Kesselly. Mr. Kesselly,
Yeah,
why you guys? You will learn with this. You will learn with this. Why you guys can't get this thing clean, so we can celebrate, all of us?
Then you're missing the point.
All right.
If it was just Kesselly, Anthony Kesselly, Wetty, and so far, it will be clean and perfect. It will be gone.
All right.
But it's not just about us. It's about a population that has a perception. Maybe some politicians are playing into it too in the legislature. Some of them can go to their villages and talk clearly about dual citizenship.
It's about the votability aspect for which you guys are trying to neutralize it, so that
but
maybe
when you say no, listen, get the question right, because I know the question that's coming.
Mm-hmm.
We are not the ones that developed this stuff. It's what came out of what we put in.
Okay.
The Vanish Chairman proposal that we were supporting and other things. This is not what came out. It was watered down. I want people to get that, not to say it's EULA proposal that we put there and this is what it is. No, this is not what we wanted. This is something we fought against. But this is what could come out of the process, giving the resistance.
Right.
And we are saying, okay, we can make that one leap forward. But the battle is just starting.
All right, the battle is just starting. The battle is just starting. We have callers, we have people sending text messages, and we have to get to them.
What's his name? Anthony, just before you go, somebody asked a question. I remember there's a point I came up about which country in Africa allows. The current president of Somalia, Mohammed Abdullahi Mohammed, is a U.S. citizen. He's a dual U.S. and Somali citizen. He's the president of Somalia as we speak. I just wanted to
yeah, but let me correct you on that too.
Go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
You could be the president of Liberia today, holding a dual citizenship that nobody challenges.
No, but his
when people talking, I don't want people just to say this is this. Go to Somalia law. Say Somalia law article so says
Somalia law allows dual citizenship to contest the presidency, is what I'm saying.
Okay.
Yep,
Yeah, the law, because people say, oh, the person is like that, but I mean, if nobody challenges you, you can be anything.
It was actually challenged when he was running, when he came from the US to run. So the law in Somalia allows dual citizenship to actually contest the election for the president.
I do agree that there are quite a number of countries that have very limited restrictions, but it's not the majority. And the point I wanted to keep end on, or Leo, you said it's all about management. If things were managed, I want to tell you that there are some countries well managed that don't tolerate dual citizenship.
That's true.
So I just want to make that.
I fully agree.
All right, gentlemen, let's do this. Folks in cyberspace, you are watching Focus on Liberia, and it's Debates Friday, and I'm Anthony C. hosting. We have Mr. Anthony Kesselly in the house, Leo Johnson also another guest in the house, and we are debating Proposition 1, the so-called dual citizenship. All right, let's go to our caller. They've been waiting for so long. This one right here. Caller, your name and where you're joining us from, and quick read to the issue.
Yes, how you doing? This is Garcon Moe from Chicago, Illinois.
Mr. Moe, thank you for calling. Straightly to the issue.
Yes, just want to commend you for continuously bringing Mr. Wetty and Anthony Kesselly to the line. You know, it is very sad, you know, to hear these guys speaking about legal issues that they clearly do not understand and they cannot articulate well. The issue of dual citizenship is a non-issue in Liberia. I have said this over and over, and they keep making a blunder in describing this issue. The Liberian Supreme Court was clear in December of last year. I think Mr. Anthony Kesselly, the likes of Eula, Kesselly, and others, the issue were the law that were passed violated the rights of Liberians. The Supreme Court ruled that there is no automatic loss of citizenship. So this issue of trying to restrict natural-born Liberians is a non-issue. And even us spending time on here discussing proposition number 1, who, if you read the proposition, it's talking about citizenship. There are different levels of citizenship, but in this proposition, they're only attacking natural-born Liberians. They're not talking about naturalized, you know, people who came from other countries who want to naturalize and become Liberians, like the Lebanese and other people. They're not talking about that in this proposition, but they want to control natural-born Liberians who the Constitution of Liberia is very clear, Article 28. They're very clear on that. So now there's a restriction saying that we cannot hold elected offices with this proposition. But then the Constitution of Liberia called for a natural-born Liberians to be a president. So how can you create a law that violates Liberians who were born in Liberia the right to contest for public offices? So it's sad when I see people who I respect and follow to be arguing the idea to violate other Liberian rights. It just doesn't make sense. The issue is a non-issue. Y'all can go put that thing on the ballot, whatever you do. If legally it won't hold any weight in any courts in Liberia, because the court is very clear. The Supreme Court have decided there is no automatic loss of citizenship. So there's no issue of dual citizen. That means when you go to America, you become an American, you still a Liberian. So I don't know why we even arguing this issue.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moa, right there. Thank you. Gentlemen, let me take this one again. Keep your note so that you can respond to that. Let me take this one quickly.
Yeah, but don't make it clustered up. These are critical issues we need to clarify.
Okay. Let me tell the caller to hold for now.
Yeah.
You take it, Mr. Kesselly.
Yeah, my young brother, Moe, we have argued these points. I'm very happy you brought this Supreme Court ruling. But before that, you keep saying there is no automatic loss of citizenship. Yes, with the ruling, there is no automatic, but there is procedural loss of citizenship. Okay, it was automatic before, and I can go through what the process was before to you. The process was maybe you joined the US Army or someone saw you in your area, you reside, they report you to the consular office in Washington, DC or wherever, and then they will write the paper and send a letter here to the foreign ministry. In our law, they say the State Department. And then the State Department will review it and forward it to the Attorney General, the Justice Minister. And then if he feels convinced, they will issue revocation certificate of revocation of your citizenship. The government was not under any obligation to call you and ask you question. You are not entitled to any hearing. If they felt like to verify, they could, but the law didn't impose on them any obligation. This is what the Supreme Court ruled on, that no, the person will be entitled to due process before you revoke it. That's all the Supreme Court ruling did. Nothing as much as people have imagined so much.
All right.
That particular portion, the loss of citizenship, is what we call Section 22.2. But before Section 22.2, you have Section 22.1. Section 22.1 is the dual citizenship, the anti-dual citizenship section. The Supreme Court ruling, and I'm going to read it, because this is threatening our fight.
No, Mr. Kesselly, because of time, you can't read that. You can reference it. Yeah, because of time, you can't read that. We don't want to go more than 2 hours. I'm sorry.
But this is one of the cardinal things people pass around, saying that the Supreme Court has solved the problem.
If it is a section that you want to read, that's fine. But the entire ruling
is not the entire. Just a,
okay. All right.
Paragraph.
All right. Go ahead.
The ruling is how many pages? Almost 9. It's just. Please listen to this portion. The court is speaking. We take note that Section 22.1 and Section 22.2 of the Aliens and Nationality Law, Title 4 of the Liberian Code of Laws revised, I'll just blah, 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 was published in May 15, 1973. Upon publication by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, they became enforceable. You hear that?
Yeah, watch your phone. We can't see you. May adjustment.
The phone really dropped. The phone dropped.
Yeah. Thank you.
Enforcing on my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, quickly.
Yeah.
Now it says, however, we must say here, in no uncertain terms, that while the two challenged provisions, that means or the two provisions,
right.
Jallo, Avinti Jallo challenged.
Right.
While the two challenged provisions of the Aliens and Nationality Law were undoubtedly enacted prior to the passage of the 1986 Constitution, it is only, listen to that word, it is only Section 22.2 of the law that we do find in clear violation of Article 20A of the Constitution.
Thank you.
Article 28 talks about what? Due process. Section 22.1, on the other hand, is a mere recitation of how a Liberian citizen may lose his or her citizenship, which, in our opinion, does not contravene any provision of the Constitution. How more clear can they be?
All right.
So the Supreme Court ruling did nothing about you losing your citizenship. It's clear. It's written.
Thank you.
So I wanted to clarify that. So I hope so many people are listening, because so many people are dampening our fight for dual citizenship by saying it's finished. The Supreme Court has solved it. No, in fact, as I conclude, Associate Justice Sienna Yo, I think those who listen to the President's annual report, in there he extended thanks for the the action taken by the Supreme Court relative to dual citizenship.
Right.
CNN, you and the judicial function made it her business to clarify that they did not take any action on dual citizenship. That what they took was on the issue of due process. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Leo.
Yes,
let me bring in a caller and keep your thought, or you want to express it first?
no, I just wanted to say I'm trying to avoid boiling this down to the technicality of the Constitution.
Right.
And to do that,
yeah,
focus. I agree with everything that's being said.
Right.
We're talking specifically of the preposition. I think it's great for us to drill. And I told people, arguing does not mean we all don't want the same thing.
Right.
We have disagreements on how it should be done and where it should be done. So I would rather want to focus. I can start to quote a lot of constitutional clauses here.
And I don't want to do that now. I don't want to do that here. So let me take this caller quickly.
Kesselly wanted to clarify that. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me take this caller quickly. Been waiting. Call out your name and where you're joining up from. Quickly, you have 1 minute. Caller, are you there?
I'm here, but you mute me. You muted me.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
My name is Falago Kwane.
Okay.
My name is Falago Kwane, and I'm calling from Pennsylvania. The fact is, Proposition 1 will restore our citizenship so that you don't have no threat hanging over you about your citizenship. That's what Proposition 1 is all about. Because right now, the alien nationality law is saying that if you become citizen of another country, if you serve in the military of another country, if you vote in another country, your citizenship will be taken from you. That is clearly stated in the alien nationality law. And so what Proposition 1 is saying is that, well, those things should not matter anymore. You know, it doesn't matter if you vote in a foreign election, or it doesn't matter if you serve in a foreign government, foreign military, you still retain your citizenship. And people are all looking at this thing here. Jallo went to court because the law was being applied by the embassy here. So you never know who is going to enforce that law. Not because it is not being enforced now doesn't mean it will be enforced in the future. And so why can't we guard against it? People have been going for confirmation, and the law has been coming up. Senators have been trying to enforce that particular law by denying the confirmation of certain nominees or appointees. Why can't we read the tea leaves and know that these things can come up anytime? You know, you can challenge it in court, it will take forever, but the action has already been taken. So why can't we remove all of those possibilities? And that's what Proposition 1 is going to do. It's going to remove all the possibilities of you being denied confirmation in case you are appointed, even though now the restriction is in that way you can't serve in any government position. That is what it is now. In the future, right now, okay, another thing that will happen is somebody could want to take your land from you based on the fact that you are a citizen of another country, because you're not supposed to own land as a citizen of another country, even though you are a Liberian. So the law says, well, your citizenship has been revoked, you know, so you can't own land anymore. And so somebody can challenge you on that. So what Proposition 1 is saying that, well, you know, your citizenship should not be revoked at all for no reason whatsoever. And the sooner we can realize that, the better it will be for all Liberians, no matter where they are and no matter what citizenship they assume. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Kesselly, for the points you are making. I really appreciate it.
Let me read some comments here, gentlemen, quickly. We'll soon be wrapping. Oh, yeah. Mr. Atto, we are right. We did not even get the opportunity to discuss it. About $0.1 supporter pushed the Proposition 1 in our throats, and they are making these excuses to continuously push these dragons in our throats. The proposition is divisive. After we are there now missing a word, George Toto writes, Proposition 1 is the outcome of numerous fights for dual citizenship. We have Robert, somebody will call him Roberto, we should take into consideration common law. Article 27, Article 28 is clear on who and at what time that person or persons can be citizen of Liberia. We often confuse ourselves trying to explain the law. And then Emmanuel S. Wetty, his eminent right, Mr. Moderator, please ask Leo to name the Africans that don't have restriction.
I just named one, Somalia.
All right. Yep. And then Atodo again, yes, we have fought Kenzo, or I think it's Kizo, but we did not fight for those divisive restrictions to be in it. We should not have rushed, since indeed you agree that constitutional amendment is a process. Why now? All right, those are just a few comments, folks, in cyberspace. Keep your comment coming. Those are the few I can read for now. I know many of you have written, but let me come back to my panelists here. Again, is Debate Friday, and I'm answering here. Gentlemen, time is fast spent. I thought we were going to have some questions from Facebook, but certainly we didn't have some. And so I will come back to you for your statement to voters and viewers, people who will be voting for this proposition. What do you want to say to them based on your stand? Let's start with you, Leo.
I just want to say something that has become acceptable in our society as normal.
Okay.
As a country, Liberia, we've come to a place where we've accepted a lot of things that are not at the standard they should be, but we've accepted because it's our situation. We should just accept it. And second of all, I want to make a clarification. It would be disrespectful, arrogant, and unfair for anybody to sit here or anywhere and dismiss the efforts that have gone into getting Proposition 1 to where it is. I just want to clarify that, because people quick, I know how people can go and say, oh, this person dismissed Proposition 1. But no, the efforts that have been put in by all of those who fought for this is applauded by me and applauded by many Liberians around the world. What some of us, I keep arguing, is this Proposition 1 is very broad sweeping. I will give you things like autonomous commissions, agencies, research, scientific institutions. These are such encompassing statements that anybody can use and define in any way to restrict somebody from doing something. These are so broad and vague. What do you mean by scientific institutions, autonomous agencies, research institutions? It's just too vague for me. And number two, to Liberians who are going to vote, I would say this: let's not make this to be a fight that the people who want dual citizenship are fighting each other. I think we must accept that what is not done well is not done at all. This is a constitutional issue. We face a situation where the Constitution on this issue is unenforceable. It's impossible to be enforced. And I'll tell you, if anybody tries to take this dual citizenship or not dual issue and make it low that we'll start enforcing it on everybody today as of tomorrow and selectively pick, you are sowing the seed for another serious conflict in Liberia. That's why no president wants to actually touch it. Nobody wants to face the serious argument. So let's not give anybody an out. If we're going to do this today, let's lay such a solid foundation that tomorrow, anything that goes on top of it will not be shaking. If we build a foundation that shakes, I can assure you, trying to build up on that foundation tomorrow, it will start to shake because the foundation itself is shaky. So I think we still got a lot of work to do. I still think this proposition is a major step forward, but it's not the finished material that should be voted upon at the referendum. That would be my point.
All right, and Mr. Kesselly, what message do you have for voters who will be voting in October?
My appeal, of course, my message is for them to vote massively in favor of Proposition 1. But my more focused appeal goes to all of us who have been yearning for the acceptance of dual citizenship in Liberia. Let us not make the anti-dual citizenship forces rejoice by missing this opportunity. Let us get ourselves out of the assumption that it's just few people sitting somewhere, few legislators with tinted character who have fashion days and etc. There is deep-seated resentment around based on ignorance, largely based on my own experience engaging the people. But for us who have fought for dual citizenship, I will appeal, no matter what problem you perceive with this proposition 1, our current position is worse than it. There's an illusion here that we have all the rights, but proposition 1 is coming to take away some rights. No, we have nothing. Someone say, yeah, Article 28, make it clear. And why did Article 28 in fact suggest that when you reach the age of maturity, you got to declare? That tells you it doesn't support the true citizenship. That's clear. Why should a constitution bother to say, if one of your parents is this and you acquire another citizenship, when you reach this age, you must renounce the other? Simple, because it's saying, I don't tolerate the two citizenship, so you got to leave one. Otherwise, that clause will not even be there. So yes, our constitution is against dual citizenship. It tolerates it from birth to maturity. That's all. After maturity, you don't enjoy it. So yes, our constitution is against, and there is a portion of the constitution that empowers the legislature to establish citizenship and nationality laws. So they can go, for example, the proposition says how, if you have already become a dual citizen, how you can renounce the other citizenship, the legislature will formulate laws.
Right.
Okay, that's why it says. So I appeal. I know how people are bitter. I know how people feel we are being taken advantage of by all this stuff, but let us not see it as the end of the world, that if this proposition passes, it's finished. Nothing can change anymore, and we will be stuck with this. No, we came a long way to get to this point. Let us accept this. I said it before when I wrote. I said, let us accept it grudgingly. I wrote that on Facebook. Many of you read it.
So Kesselly, maybe you should say something for your closing statement.
Oh, this is not it? Oh, okay.
No, this is your page to the voters.
Oh, okay, voters.
Yeah.
Embrace this. There is no threat from your brothers who are Liberian citizens. Dual citizenship is not about Lebanese people. It's not about white people. It's about your own sons and daughters, brothers and sisters, people who already had Liberian citizenship. Let us not cast them away. Even in the Bible, Joseph was a dual citizen almost in the other land, but he was embraced. Let us embrace dual citizenship. And for us, the fighters, let us put on our strategic thinking cap. Let us not lose this proposition because we are so angry that certain people who not even worth the sacrifice we have made are putting it in the law. We can take the next step forward. So please vote for the proposition, and then let's tighten our belt to fight the limitation on the rights, like the brother said, scientific institutions. Many of the positions put in that category, I don't even see the rationale.
Thank you, Mr. Kesselly.
But
Thank
we
you.
must be strategic. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentlemen, let's do this. I will ask one question to both of you, and then you will come to your closing statement. And please be brief so that we can take too much time. Let me start with you, Leo. A yes vote on the measure means you have agreed to a person, at least one of whose parent was a citizen at the time of the person's birth, shall be a natural born citizen of Liberia. Such person does not have to reach the age of maturity to decide his or her citizenship. Also, you have agreed that a natural born citizen of Liberia may hold another citizenship, but shall not qualify for elected position, elected national and public service positions, and the above listed, talking about the president, vice president, and all that. you were talking about enforcing the law is not even possible, as we all know it. But this one gives us more leverage and opportunity. And so the restrictions that you're talking about, they will not be as enforceable as the very one that we have. So why can't you agree with this one that they are offering, or Proposition 1 is offering, so that the noise can calm down a little bit?
Thank you very much. In my opinion, you cannot replace a bad situation with another bad situation. In my opinion, first of all, as things stand, even if you want to argue, and it's sad that I have to actually say this because of how our country has become impossible to enforce laws.
Right.
It's sad that the position of people who hold other citizenship right now is much better than it would be under Proposition 1. And I'll tell you why I say so technically.
I totally disagree with that.
Yeah, I'm saying it technically because our country has never. I'm waiting to see. Ellen Corcoran was appointed MD for the airport. She was confirmed by the Senate. She was holding both citizenships. And she still.
You haven't proven that.
Let him learn, Mr. Kesselly. Don't interrupt, please.
And number two, it's unenforceable because there is no way to verify who holds dual citizenship. There is no way. So why should somebody come and say, I hold another country's citizenship? Everybody can just say, I don't hold another one. And nothing stops them from getting a Liberian passport either. They can go and say where they were born, because we don't have a proper, accurate birth registry system in the country. There's no way to deny somebody that they're Liberian. There's no way you can prove that somebody is not a Liberian citizen or not. There's no system to be able to prove that is robust right now. So why would somebody willingly give up a state as the natural human being is? We always like to be in a position where we think we control all of the factors. Why would somebody willingly decide that nobody able to stop me from holding a Liberian passport? Nobody is able to deny me or prove that I hold another citizenship unless I tell you, or unless I give you evidence to it. Why do you think when somebody gave that out to take something and put themselves on the record and say, yes, deny me being head of any autonomous agencies, any scientific institution, any research institution, willingly, only because I'm willing to abide by the law itself? So I tell you, we have a long history of not being able to enforce the laws we write. And I am worried again that this very law that we are talking about, if it's passed, we will not be able to enforce it. We still do not have the mechanisms of being able to enforce the law. So my argument is, that is why I say Proposition 1 in this current form for me is not strong. And Proposition 1 in this current form for me is going to make it even difficult for this issue to be laid to rest. I think it's going to open a new can of Pandora box that would be impossible again for us to either wrap our heads around.
Thank you. And Mr. Kesselly, let's keep the answers very short so we can get out of here. And my final question to you, and then you come to your maybe 30-second closing statement, is why, if this law is voted down, what's your next step?
So that's a very simple question, and it has a simple answer. They call it the struggle continues. Okay. But yeah, the struggle continues. I mean, haven't you seen that? You fight for something, you don't get it now, you don't throw in the towel, you tighten your belt. Sometimes might come enlightenment in the population, further enlightenment, better legislators who understand it better, or empathetic or sympathetic legislators may come down the line. So you continue the struggle. But to say that Proposition 1 is making the condition of our dual citizens worse is the worst form in which one can miss a point.
There was a context to that.
Yes, I know. But in no context, I see it, that the current situation, which is where we have nothing. We are in this demeaning position of hiding our other passport. When we appear for confirmation, we lie under oath that we don't hold citizenship anywhere. We're hiding. For that to be a better situation than a new situation where you don't have to do that lie. Okay, now, my brother, my thinking is, the last point you made, I enjoy it very well, but I think it totally defeated your point. Okay. You say enforcement is not possible. Okay, if enforcement is not possible, then
In both cases.
or how are you going to find out who are this citizen and this and that to deny them? You say not enforceable. So you should have no fear. Actually, if you really believe that, as it is unenforceable as it is now, you think it will equally to you be unenforceable. So you should be like, I could care less, you know. But I think you are so passionate about dual citizenship as I am. But if we, become so inflexible and assume that maybe it's EULA that pushing this point, when I see where all we have gone and people are arguing as if to say,
All right.
everybody has been sitting with their folded hands, and all of a sudden, this proposition came. I feel it's very unfair. So my point is, if it is unenforceable, okay, let's have this one. Let's have at least dual citizenship is embraced. Then the other thing about stopping people from holding job, since they can't enforce it, they will be moving.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Kesselly. Right there. Okay, go ahead, Leo.
I just want to quickly respond to something. That's why I qualify what I said. I was being very careful when I said better now, because what difference does it make, regardless of what you do or don't do, when it's the laws in Liberia? We have a continuing history of not enforcing any of the laws. And I'm saying this because even our government will help hide people with dual citizenship, will help hide their passport to give them the job. The very government that we are trusting, that we are hoping will actually be the one, and the people who they don't like, then they are target. So I can tell you that, and when it comes to the issue about people lying on an oath, breaking the law is breaking the law, but the law is only the law if it is possible to be applied. If you're not applying the law, then what use is the law? It's
Thank
useless.
You, Leo.
The law
Thank
is
you, Leo.
being applied. And I don't care because I will not care less because I'm personally affected. I care because it's my country and I want the right things done in my country, not because I am personally affected or not. That really doesn't matter to me.
All right, thank you, Leo. Gentlemen, we have to leave it there. I'm coming back to you for your closing statement, and please do not make it long. We are almost like 2 hours now, and that is too long. All right, let's do this. To you in cyberspace, our viewers, I will now ask you to vote. We want to get a winner for the debate, and all you have to do, there are about 98 of you from my phone here, maybe more than that, because my phone is showing me 98%. I want you to vote. If you think Leo won the debate, just write Leo. And if you think Mr. Kesselly won the debate, just write his name, Anthony. We will tally the result and we will inform you.
No worry, we want the same thing anyway. So that's
So, folks in cyberspace, please do that for us. We want to know who won the debate, and this will be a continuous
process. You should have told us that at the beginning,
so we can know how to position ourselves.
I didn't want to do that because that will have an influence on your performance, or maybe what you are going to say, and I don't want to control you anyway. I wanted you to be yourself. Yeah. All right. So, gentlemen, let's come back to you at this time. I will start with Mr. Kesselly, and please don't make it long. At least a minute will be okay for your closing argument.
Let me just reiterate a few of the points I made. One, the current law we have is terrible. It's totally exclusionary. It doesn't tolerate any, form of dual citizenship. That's Article 22.1. It's in effect. The proposition will chip away a little out of that by nullifying the whole Article 22.1 because dual citizenship will have been accepted. You can become a military man in another country. You can swear allegiance to another country and take oath. You can vote in another country's election. You can, all of those things you can do, and it will not have to be hidden. It will not have to be secret. You will not need a visa to go to Liberia because you are about to use U.S. passport. Right now, you got to have the U.S. passport. You got to go get the visa because you want that security and go be hiding. That will be gone away. You can own land. Right now, you got your land perhaps illegally, because actually going to the law, if you are proven you don't own land, if you and your sibling fighting over land and they can prove that you are citizen elsewhere, you lose everything. So all of those things will have gone away. The only thing that will have remained will be whether you can run for office and a long list of other exclusions. We can fight that continuously. Let us not lose this basic fight for the embrace of dual citizenship. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kesselly, there giving his closing argument. Leo?
Thank you very much. And again, once again, Big Brother Kesselly, it's great to be on here with you and good to see you.
Thank you.
All the hard work that you've continued to do. Let me just say this. We should not pretend that we don't live in Liberia. We live in a society that has some very unique connotations to itself based on our recent or past history. And for us to pretend like we live in a society that has the foundational pieces in place that will allow laws or allow the progress of things to just move on smoothly, I think it's a colossal mistake. We live in a society where we know to get anything done, you have to almost join the corrupt system to help and push people along. And in the process, sometimes we end up making all kinds of compromises only because you think you have to work with the system to make it work, when in my opinion, it's not even a system that you're actually working with. And that's why we should stand our ground and expose the system for what it is until we can get it done right. Number two, if the Proposition 1 as it stands gets on the ballot and wins or in the referendum, I will still be in the trenches with everybody on dual citizenship to continue fighting for the other things to be removed. So if it doesn't win, I will still be there with the other architects and people who have brought ideas to the table to make sure this is something that is not about Mr. Kesselly or any individual. It's about generations to come. The next thing I will say is I would like to just clarify and correct. The president of Somalia did renounce his citizenship, yes, but the Constitution of Somalia allows dual citizenship. And to sum up, let me tell everybody, Liberia is a society that we have to start showing our people's different ways of doing things. We've done the same old things, the same ways for decades, and we haven't been able to break apart from it only because we're still stuck with some of the same old ideologies. And for me, this is the time for bold leadership, for new ideas, to challenge the status quo as it is. If it means us losing in the short term and winning in the long term, so be it. But I will never be willing to compromise anymore, because unfortunately, leaders after leaders, fights after fights have had to be compromised for the system only because that's the only way we can get it done. So thank you, everybody. It's been a great time, and thank you, Anthony, very well. And again, the fight for dual citizenship continues regardless or not how Proposition 1 ends up.
Thank you. Thank you to you, our panelists, Mr. Leo Johnson, Mr. Anthony Kesselly. We want to thank you. You guys debated well. And know this, there is only platform in the entire Liberian community you can find debate. It's here. I focus on Liberia. Yeah, I focus on Liberia. We debate, we educate, we elevate, we promote all things Liberia. That will do it. And folks in cyberspace, we want to say thank you for always following our show and also sharing it. Always go to YouTube and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe also to our Facebook page. That is the way you can contribute to what we do here, and you will strengthen us to keep doing more. Thank you for watching. My name is Anthony Sie, and that will do it for us. Don't forget to vote. The results will be announced. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.